A battle is on at Table Rock Lake.
Plan today is to catch the most big ones.
Anglers were greeted with freezing temperatures and tough fishing.
Oh, I missed it. Just have to hope for the best. Hear that crow laughing at me when he went over?
One of the best in the world may have found a spot of a lifetime.
Yeah! That feels so good, you have no idea.
But will one veteran's last-minute surge be enough to move him into the lead?
Look at you, sweet lips. Mwah. This is a difference maker.
Welcome to the first event of the FLW Tour presented by Cabela's. Hey everybody, I'm Jason Harper. Table Rock Lake, nestled in the foothills of the Ozark Mountains, has been the battleground for 150 pros. Many have simply come in empty-handed, while there are a few that seem to have cracked the code. Every day they've been facing freezing conditions in a very stingy lake. Yesterday, National Guard pro Brent Ehrler showed exactly why he's one of the best anglers in the world by bringing in over 22 pounds. Today, he leads the pack by nearly 8 pounds, but hot on his heels, a couple of pros like Greg Pugh, local Chevy pro Dion Hibden, and fresh off his win down at Lake Okeechobee, National Guard pro and teammate Scott Martin. Today is the all-important cut day. We narrow the field from 150 down to just 5 anglers. Facing similar conditions to the last couple of days, these anglers are going to have to put it all on the line on this final day to see who can remain in the cut. National Guard pro Brent Ehrler has a comfortable lead going into cut day, but anyone in this top 10 can make a move. The battle just to make the cut is tight. Only about 1 pound separates 5th through 10th, so don't count out veterans like Ron Sheffield and Mark Rose.
Plan today is to catch the most big ones.
Got a long run up the White River, maybe 50 miles or so. My whole tournament's based on this one spot, so if I can get in there and they bite, I think I'll do okay today.
I'm not real concerned about first place because it doesn't count until after tomorrow, so the top 5 does. So that's the goal of the day, is catch 5 more fish and get the keepers in the boat and keep this thing rolling.
Best bass fisherman I know has not caught one in 2 days. You know, my dad hasn't boated a keeper in 2 days, and that scares me, you know, because I do the same stuff he does.
I'm gonna be starting out this morning with the Punisher lures, float and fly. It sits there like a dying shad, and they'll just ease up there and eat it. And that's what I've had most of my success on in practice, so maybe it'll work out.
Completed in 1958 by the Army Corps of Engineers, Table Rock Lake sits at the foothills of the Ozark Mountains and a stone's throw from Branson, Missouri. Part of the White River chain of lakes, Table Rock offers an impressive 41,000 acres of fishable water with nearly 173 miles of shoreline. A fisherman's paradise, Table Rock offers anglers a shot at largemouth, smallmouth, and spotted bass. 150 pros and 150 co-anglers will take off each morning from Table Rock State Park Marina.
You got to get pumped up every time you start one of these things. I don't care how old you get or how long I do it, I still get pumped up and a little bit excited on every takeoff. I just want to go.
7 o'clock, number 1.
6, take the 22. Thank you, 108.
You know, because the water is so cold out here, they've had a really bad shad kill. And that's what's making the fishing so tough, is that it's so easy for those fish to, you know, eat. I mean, there's a couple places where you'll go and there's just shad flicking around everywhere, you know, dying. And, you know, those fish don't have to do much to eat. All they have to do is open their mouth, really. There's so much of it. So I think that's really hurt the fishing.
When a shad's fully alive, he's standing like this, paddling along. When he starts to die, he'll either go up to the surface, kick a little bit and die, or he'll just slowly paddle down and die. And all these jerk baits that I'm throwing, have got kind of a head down, slow sink to them. There he is. I don't know how big he is, but we'll see anyways. Thank you. Everybody think long. Oh man. Whew. How about that? Ain't nothing extra, but 15. Yeehaw.
Brent Ehrler's been fishing a spot up the White River that's produced limits for him each of the past 2 days.
I knew they'd bite that crankbait. That's a big one. That's a big one. Oh my goodness. Stay on. Stay on. Stay on. Stay on, stay on, stay on, stay on. I knew they'd bite that crankbait. I knew it. This bait I'm throwing is the Lucky Craft RC 2.5, and it runs, I'm throwing on 10-pound fluorocarbon. Probably runs about 10, 12 feet deep. Perfect to get around the tops of those trees down there.
Hot off his come-from-behind win at Lake Okeechobee, National Guard teammate Scott Martin is fishing deeper water, looking for the key big bites.
A lot of the places that I'm fishing this week, I've just gone around the lake and found points with channel swings on them and taken a swim bait and a jig and fishing the timber that's out here in 25 to 50 foot of water. You got to have a good graph. You know, to see the trees, and you know, usually when you find a little spot on these points that's got a few fish on, you can keep catching them, you know, day after day. But finding those magic spots are the hard part.
One angler that's found a sweet spot is FLW Tour rookie Adam Wagner.
I've got several breaks off these deep bluff banks where I've been catching some pretty good Kentuckies or spotted bass and largemouth, and they're all real close. So I'm gonna run these areas with this floating fly and a couple other baits and try that. Got him. Come on, baby. Jesus. Fish number one. Big spot.
Cut day is coming to a close, and slow is the name of the game right now.
You got to really be patient out here right now. You literally cannot fish slow enough.
Patience can be rewarded with a monster.
That's what a real Table Rock toad looks like right there.
FLW Outdoors from Table Rock Lake is brought to you by Cabela's, the world's foremost outfitter of hunting, fishing, and outdoor gear. Evinrude E-Tech, with 3 years, no maintenance, spend more time on the water. Chevy, every model is backed by a 5-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Lowrance and the HDS high-definition system with structure scan add-on option. Castrol, maximum sludge protection for maximum performance. And by National Guard, always ready, always there. Welcome back to Branson, Missouri, and the opening event of the FLW Tour here at Table Rock Lake. Winter hasn't quite let go yet of the Ozark Mountains, and cold temperatures have made the fishing much tougher than usual. The bass are sluggish and have plenty to eat thanks to a significant shad kill. Currently in second place, Mike Worm has 3 in the live well. As morning gives way to afternoon, his spot seems to be petering out, and with it, hopes of making the cut.
You got to pay attention all the time, because you don't get much, and if you miss it, he'll spit it out. When you get that little light tick like that, you got to really be on your toes and know what that feels like, and that means you got to put in a lot of hours doing it. It feels different than a limb, it feels different than a rock. It's just a different sensation, but you don't know what it feels like until you feel all the rest of it. So you've got to put your hours in on the water to get that experience, to get that feel. See, that's a limb right there. Well, the fish have just deserted me. Just have to hope for the best.
Reigning Angler of the Year in the Eastern Series, Ranger Pro Tom Mann Jr. is fishing low and slow, looking for big bites.
You got to really be patient out here right now. You literally cannot fish slow enough. You have to keep that bait when you think you're in your strike zone. I mean, it won't even hurt to just let it sit there. You know, just shake it a little bit and just let it sit. You got to get that bait just right in front of one. And when you do, every once in a while, one lead it. That's what a real table rock toad looks like right there. That's a pretty one, isn't it?
It's weigh-in time at Table Rock State Park Marina. Time to see who makes the cut and lives to fish another day. Because dangerous conditions at Red River canceled what was to be the FLW Tour's first stop, this event is all the more important in the race to qualify for the Forest Wood Cup. It was a tough day for a lot of anglers, and few big bags are coming off the water.
And I had a tough day today. I mean, perfect fishing day, but just couldn't get the bites. Only had one today.
I didn't catch as many as I did yesterday, but, you know, they were better today, so.
4 fish will weigh 13 pounds, 1 ounce for 12 spot.
I got no complaints. The last 2 days have been good days.
Arkansas native Ron Sheffield needs to move up 5 spots to make the cut. He's one of only 11 anglers to bring in a limit today. But will it be enough to make the jump?
14 pounds, 4 ounces. They've been 38.15. He's our new leader, Ron Sheffield.
Another pro with a 5 bass limit, Tom Mann Jr. hopes his Table Rock toad will be enough to let him fish tomorrow.
The Lord bless me. It just went good from the start this morning.
16 pounds, 12 ounces, total of 26.10, all the way into 7th place for Tom Mann Jr.
That big fish did give Tom Mann Jr. the biggest catch of the day, but it still wasn't enough to make the cut.
Here comes the BFL All-American champion, Adam Wagner from Cookeville, Tennessee.
Rookie Adam Wagner turns in an impressive performance in his first ever tour event, bringing in 2 limits over 3 days. Although not enough to make the final 5, it does earn him a $14,000 check for his 9th place finish. Chevy pro Dion Hibden had a disappointing day. His 3-day total of 27 pounds, 14 ounces wasn't enough to make the cut.
That's jerk baiting for me here. I mean, one day they're there, and the next day they take off and they're 100 yards down the bank, and, you know, I just didn't catch up with them today.
After demonstrating remarkable consistency over the past 2 days, pro Mike Worm fell a bit today with only 3 bass for 7 pounds, 9 ounces, just enough to make the cut. Starting the day just 1 spot shy of the top 5, National Guard pro Scott Martin's 3 fish weren't enough to give him the nudge into the final group.
10 pounds, 6 ounces, not enough for that. We lose him all the way up to 6th place, 1 spot out of the top 5.
Leading the pack after 2 days, National Guard pro Brent Ehrler is the only angler to bag 3 straight limits.
You know, I've lost a few fish the last couple days, but I haven't had any big ones come up and jump that I know were real big that came off. You know, I've been very fortunate and got, you know, all the big bites in the boat so far.
He's got 5 fish here today. Total weight, 14 pounds, 6 ounces. That gives him a total of 54.14. Back into the lead, 54.14 for 3 days.
While Brent prepares to lead the top 5 finishers into the final day of fishing, the Co-Anglers tournament ended today. Greentown, Indiana native Shane Melton clinched the top spot by 9 ounces with a 3-day total of 26 pounds, 10 ounces, earning him a check for $25,000. Brent Ehrler stayed consistent and leads the pack with a nearly 14-pound lead. But racing up the leaderboard is veteran Ron Sheffield, who jumped all the way from 10th place to 2nd on the final day. In 3rd place is Bryan Thrift. Day 1 leader Greg Pugh drops to 4th, and Mike Worm comes in at 5th. Although he didn't make the top 5, rookie Adam Wagner finished up his first FLW Tour event in 9th place. We spent a little time with him for a look at life on tour. Winning the BFL All-American secured Adam a spot on the FLW Tour. His friend and BFL co-angler champion Jade Keaton has joined him for the season.
He's got a camper. I bring the boat and he brings the camper, so it's working out real good. And we're staying in a campground saving a little money. We're trying to cut corners everywhere we can, and it's saving us having to pay for a motel. So This is our glamorous life we're leading. This is what you'd call FLW cribs here. He gets the master suite. There's dishes from last night. I get to roll away. That's all my stuff piled up right here. And we don't have running water right now, so we're having a blast. You know, this is my first year on the FLW Tour, which I'm considered a rookie, but you know, actually, I've been fishing tournaments since I was 12 years old. You know, this is my one shot this year. It's do or die for me. I'm gonna have to do good, you know, or it's back to work for me. But you know, it's been a dream my whole life, and here I am. That's a wrap. I'm ready to go fishing.
As night settles in over Branson, Missouri, our leaders are getting ready for a brand new day. Which one of them can catch the leader?
One more time, baby.
Yeah! Welcome back, everyone, to the FLW Tour here on Table Rock Lake. After 3 days of tough fishing where most of the field struggled just to bring in a limit, National Guard pro Brent Ehrler has done just that 3 days in a row. He's got an impressive 14-pound lead over the rest of the field. But can he hold on for one more day? Maybe even bring in a fourth straight limit. But he can't let up today because right behind him he's got veterans like Mike Worm, Greg Pugh, Bryan Thrift, and Ron Sheffield. Tough conditions once again on this final day, and as always, there are no guarantees. It's still anyone's game. National Guard pro Brent Ehrler, ahead by 14 pounds, has put a lot of distance between himself and the rest of the field. But Ranger pro Ron Sheffield jumped all the way from 10th to 2nd place in one day, so it'll be no walk in the park for Ehrler. Hot on the heels of the leaders, the remaining 3 will have to fish hard to stay in the running. National Guard pro Brent Ehrler charges up the White River to a spot that's produced for him all week.
You know, this spot stayed consistent every day just for the fact that every day of the tournament got progressively warmer and warmer. And these fish are wanting to pull into the back of these creeks. I mean, that's just what they do this time of year. So this is just a spot that they stop on, and it just kept replenishing every single day. It's a nice one.
Scott, that was for you. He said within 6 casts I was gonna have a keeper. Yes!
You know, I found this area I basically ran into a creek, and I was gonna go and run to the very back and fish small crankbait just kind of in the back in shallow water. And on my way out, I was just watching my Lowrance electronics. I saw that my graph jumped up. I saw that there was some shallow water there. It's kind of like an underwater point. Looking at it, it's so obvious that I couldn't believe someone else wasn't there. I mean, the whole time I was worried that someone else was going to fish it because it was so obvious, but it was just one of those things that you overlook.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Number two. Unlike Brent, Mike Worm is having to work hard to find a pattern that works in the difficult conditions here at Table Rock.
Coming here, I was expecting to throw a jerkbait. The other traditional pattern is you find some dirtier, off-color water and throw wiggle warts or crankbait. However, when I got here, I discovered that the water was extremely cold. So I had to alter my plan. I could not get them to bite a jerkbait. I couldn't get them to hit the wiggle wart, so I'm scratching heads here. What I'm going to do now? So I fill out the tried and true jigs. One of my favorite techniques is fishing a finesse jig. Oh, get out of that tree. Look out. Non-keeper. See what I'm talking about, that little belly? This is a spot. That's a Kentucky. But look at the belly on that little thing. Look at there. These things eat and get fat. That's a short fish, but it's fun to catch.
The big shad kill brought on by freezing temperatures have given the fish plenty of easy pickings. Greg Pugh thinks he has a pattern to entice them to bite.
You know, it's kind of like you go out and get you a steak, and you sitting there thinking, oh, I'm so full, I can't stand it. And then the waitress walks by with a platter and you see some chocolate mousse pudding that just really catches your eye. And then all of a sudden, you're not near as full as you were when you just had that big old steak. And you gotta have just a little bit of that sweetness. Well, that's what I'm hoping these fish are gonna do today. that black and blue sweetness is going to ease by them real slow, and they're going to be sitting there thinking that's just too much to pass up. So we're going to ease over and get us by that. So that's what we're going to try for.
In second place, after bringing in Day 3's biggest catch, Ranger Pro Ron Sheffield is also on an early bite.
I came in today in second place, about 14 pounds behind Brent Ehrler. So, you know, I had a real mountain I had to climb going into the day. There one. Maybe he's a keeper, don't know. He ain't gonna make it. Hey, we're on the board. Fish number 1. Got to start somewhere.
Third place, Bryan Thrift has also been fishing the same spot all week, but he's not sure it'll hold up for another day.
This is just a long point. It's got some timber and it's got a little rock vein running across it. Every fish I've caught this week, but 3's come off of this place. I'm pretty much depending on it to hopefully have a few more left. It's been getting slower and slower each day though.
The one common element on most all my bites where those fish seem to be suspended in the 12, maybe 10, 12 foot range down beside either a pole tree or a cedar tree. Any kind of vertical structure that was away from the shoreline was the key. There's one. Maybe this is a bigger one. Feels like a decent fish, but I can't tell nothing about it. Take my time with her. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Lord. That helped the cause. Largemouth, suspended out 25, 26 foot of water.
It's 7:56 right now. Took us 45 minutes. Been fishing for 11 minutes and I've got 2 in the boat. I've got all day to catch 3 more. Oh, that's a big one. That's a big one. Oh, that's a big one. Get out of the tree. Get out of that tree. Yeah! Yeah! Woo! Yeah!
Table Rock Lake is not giving up the bites without a fight. 3 out of the top 5 have yet to boat a keeper.
Got the little ones figured out.
Can Ron Sheffield continue his charge?
There's another one right there.
Can Ehrler's spot keep producing?
Oh!
Stay tuned to FLW Outdoors. It's the final day of fishing on Table Rock Lake, the first event of the FLW Tour presented by Cabela's. National Guard Pro Brent Ehrler started with a huge lead and already has 3 in the boat. Determined to catch up, Ranger Pro Ron Sheffield has matched Brent fish for fish. The remaining 3 anglers, however, are struggling to boat their first keeper.
You have to really pay attention all the time fishing slow and cold like this, because, you know, fish can bite at any time. You might think, well, it's got to get to the bottom before a fish bites it. That's wrong. It can bite it on the fall and do a lot of times. If you're not paying attention, watching your line and feeling your line and feeling your rod, you'll miss that fish. There's number 1. Big old spot.
So Mike Worm has gotten himself into the running with his first keeper. Yamaha Pro Bryan Thrift is running out of options as his go-to spot seems to have run out.
I've beat it hard for 3 days in a row. I think they've all been caught. The only thing is I don't have any confidence to just go down the bank fishing because I did that for 2 days in practice and didn't do very well.
My pattern is still basically what it's been for the last 3 days. I'm going to stay out, work it until I quit getting bit, and then I'm going to move in some. I'm just gonna keep covering a lot of water. I'm gonna keep my trolling motor down and try and just keep my bait wet. Oh, there's another one right there. Oh yeah. That's one of them big spots. Yeah. But I'm gonna go ahead and put a little tag in him. I'm being optimistic. I plan on getting 5 today. It's happened the last 2 days. Hopefully it'll happen again today.
With 3 keepers on board as well, Brent Ehrler is also confident he can bag a limit today.
I caught a 4-pounder about 8 o'clock, and that was my 3rd fish, you know, and I just couldn't believe that this spot was holding out. That is a keeper. That's 4. That is 4.
Of the 5 anglers in competition, only Greg Pugh has yet to get a bite.
Just a real small little light tap on it. And usually when that's happened in the past, it's a big fish. I think he come up there and licked it with his tongue. Maybe that's him letting me know that, hey, we're gonna be there for you. It's gonna be a little bit later than normal, but we're gonna be there for you.
Building on his momentum from day 3, Ron Sheffield is mounting a determined charge on the lead.
Fish seem to me like they're a little easier to pattern on these clear water lakes. I'm just in a little bit shallow, but we're going to drop off here in just a second to a little channel swing hits right there in that one little spot. Be the 3-pounder I was looking for here, please. Be one of the good ones that we've caught here. Oh yeah. Come on, I believe you'll keep. Yes. She's not a 3-pounder, but she's getting closer. Thank you, Lord.
Back over where the fishing's at. These shallow pockets this time of year start heating up faster than that deeper stuff did. So if I can catch them moving up shallow, you know, you can get some big ones quick that way.
I haven't had a bite off this little bit of brush that I'm fixing to throw over, but it holds fish consistently year after year. And there's some brush sits out in about 18 and 19 foot of water, and I'm just gonna fish my jerk bait around the sides of that brush, trying to get those fish that are suspended around it to come up and bite it. Oh, there we go, here we go. Be a big one. This may be her. This may be her. This feels like a big one. Stay hooked, honey. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, she ain't a giant, but that's number 5. I do believe. 5 and well. Guess what time it is? 9:50. It's an identical repeat of yesterday. The key today is I'm missing a 3-pounder and a 4-pounder I didn't have yesterday. So that's the thing about fishing. We'd all like to catch a 5-pounder every cast, but it just doesn't necessarily work that way. I'm just gonna do the best I can, and hopefully the big bites will come.
With his limit caught, Sheffield is now on the hunt for the big upgrades to cut down Brent's lead. Meanwhile, Mike Worm is starting to find his groove. Yeah! Pugh has a personal battle.
My mom called and told me she was gonna have surgery, and I sure would like to be able to catch her a big sack of fish today for that.
Ehrler and Sheffield continue to crush them.
I'd say that's a pretty good little upgrade there.
Welcome back to Branson, Missouri. After 3 days of fishing, it's clear that 2 of the final 5 anglers have found patterns that work consistently in the challenging conditions here at Table Rock Lake. National Guard Pro Brent Ehrler and Ranger Pro Ron Sheffield have each got 5 fish in the live well, but it's not too late for the other 3 competitors to find a pattern that will work. Ron Sheffield has chosen a spot in the James River, while Brent Ehrler and the others have all headed up into the White River area. At his spot, Mike Worm found that his usual jigging techniques weren't working.
The whole deal of the jig, it wasn't your normal jig bite. Normally, you got that jig and you move it pretty good. That would not produce a bite. You had to let that jig soak on the bottom, just sit there. And when you move it, you just pulled it along, just little pulls, and let the jig stay on the bottom. The only time it came off the bottom was when it got a little hung up on a rock and you jerk it off, or you had to jerk it off a limb. That was the only time. Other than that, it was on the bottom very, very slowly. That could be a big one. Oh, God almighty. Oh, God almighty, please stay buttoned. One more time, baby. Yeah! Everybody clap. Now look at here. See, that fish ate that. He meant to eat it. I mean, he was gonna eat it, keep it, take it home, show it to mama. That's a nice little 4.5, maybe 5. What do you think, buddy?
On my way out here, my mom called and told me she was gonna have surgery, and they're bad about if something's going on like that at the family. They don't tell me about it because they want me to stay and fish because they know I'll come home, so I sure would like to be able to catch her a big sack of fish today for that. And what's bad on top of that, March the 6th is my anniversary, which is today. So happy anniversary, baby, I love you.
All week I've been throwing a jig, the Mickey Mama jig, and they were short striking it a lot. They had just knocked the snot out of it and you couldn't hook them. They'd knock slack in the line, you'd reel down and jerk and they'd steal the trailer off my jig or something like that, or you'd hang them for just a second. It's like they were just nipping at it and stuff like that. They just wasn't wanting to eat it good. Oh, I missed it.
Time is running out for Bryan Thrift, who has yet to catch a keeper.
You know, after I got the big fish, the 4-pounder, I thought I won the tournament. But then you think in the back of your mind, someone can catch a big bag today. Someone can do it. And so I know that I have to catch a limit. But it's not too common to be able to fish one area for 4 days straight, because you really do beat the fish up after a couple days.
Oh, man. I think that's it right there. That's 5. Look at that. Oh my goodness. That feels so good. You have no idea.
Ranger Pro Ron Sheffield knows he's going to need to cull with some big fish if he's going to reel in Brent's big lead. His weapon of choice is the jerkbait, which is used all through the tournament.
It's the Mega Bass Vision 110. It's a real good jerk bait. It has great suspending action, and this is what I'm gonna throw a lot on and off with a couple of 2 or 3 other colors today. Oh, come on, please be a big one. There's something I can cull with anyway. He might help. That's a largemouth. He wasn't much of an improvement, but he helped a little.
With time running out, Greg Pugh is scrambling to find a spot, any spot that will yield a bite. But since it's Saturday, the lake is starting to get a little crowded.
Oh, sorry, I didn't know you was out there. I'm sorry about that. I apologize for that. I didn't see. I didn't see you lying out there. Sorry about that. Right there is what's hurting more than anything. These boats running around getting right up on this stuff, being right up on top of it.
While Greg Pugh remains fishless, Bryan Thrift has been able to hook a few, but so far, not a single keeper.
I got the little ones figured out. Catching short fish I don't look at it as a negative just because you are getting bites, you know there's fish there, and sooner or later you're surely going to catch a keeper.
I'm proud of myself because I did find a pattern in practice, you know, and I put it into execution during the tournament and stayed with it and was very patient. I knew if I got in a hurry, not only would I miss bites or not get bites, I would hang up a lot and lose all my lures. I had to be patient. Boom! Shakalaka-laka! And that's where you like to hook them, right there.
Shuffield's charge intensifies.
That little fat football.
Thrift finally gets on the board.
That really changed things up and kind of got me fired back up.
Pugh talks to the birds.
You hear that crow laughing at me when he went over? He went, ha 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 ha.
FLW Outdoors from Table Rock Lake is brought to you by Cabela's, the world's foremost outfitter of hunting, fishing, and outdoor gear. Chevy Silverado Sweepstakes. Meet the heavier duty heavy duty. The new 2011 Chevy Silverado HD has been improved in all the places that matter, and it could be yours to win. Go to winasilveradohd.com for your chance to win. Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Folgers, the best part of waking up. And by Ranger. Still building legends one at a time. You don't have to fish like a pro to win like a pro. Make sure to log on to fantasyfishing.com for your chance to win up to $50,000 in cash and prizes. Only a few hours are left to fish here on Table Rock Lake in the opening event of the FLW Tour. Two anglers, National Guard Pro Brent Ehrler and Ranger Pro Ron Shuffield, have managed to catch a limit and are hunting for upgrades. Of the remaining three, only Arkansas native Mike Worm has been able to land a keeper with 3 in the live well. For many in this tournament, the afternoon bite has been the hardest to catch. Ron Shuffield is one of the few who found a pattern that works.
I'm doing nothing but throwing a jerkbait, just covering a lot of water, going down the bank. I'm varying my retrieve on a number of different circumstances, depending on the water depth and how long I have to pause the bait to get bites. Oh, that's a football spot. Look at that little fat football. Thank you, Lord, for that one.
He'll need at least a few more good upgrades like that if he's going to catch National Guard Pro Brent Ehrler.
Oh, maybe, please be a good one. This one hit it like a begging would. This is a monster. Come on, baby. Get up here. Get up here. Yes! Looky here. Yeah. Whew. One I've been fishing for all day long was this kind of bite. Look at you, sweet lips. Mwah. That's what this is all about. Whew. This will make it a little tougher for some of the rest of those guys. This is a difference maker. Ain't nothing like it.
The one downfall in this tournament, I think, what's probably cost me from doing better, is I could never find an afternoon pattern of any kind. The jig bite would die by noon every day. I tried and tried to find something else in the afternoon. I could never get anything established in the afternoon. Damn it, that was a bite.
Brent Ehrler and Ron Shuffield are going fish for fish in a battle for the win. Greg Pugh and Bryan Thrift, meanwhile, are battling just to catch their first keeper.
If you fish long enough, sooner or later you're going to zero. So I'm just thinking all day, well, I'm going to zero. It'll be okay though, because it won't be the last time. There we go. It's a good one. Come on, baby. I mean, this is a good one. Oh, it's just got one hook in. Finally, we're on the board. That's what we're looking for. Barely got one hook in him, but we got it. Took us about 6 hours. Thank you, Lord. That really changed things up and kind of got me fired back up because I was kind of in a little lull there, just kind of going through the motions, and started fishing hard again. And that's one thing you really got to do. You can't let your guard down, even if you're not getting bites. You just kind of get in a little monotonous zone where you're not really taking full advantage of what's happening in front of you. Hey, we get to weigh in now. Did not want to zero.
I hear you, Crow. Did you hear that crow laughing at me when he went over? He went, ha 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 ha. You know, usually I'd been giving myself an hour to get in. I ended up giving myself about 43 minutes, and I think I had 2 minutes to go when I got in. I'm gonna push it. I'm pushing it as far as I can.
Also determined to push it as far as he can, hunting upgrades, Ranger Pro Ron Sheffield isn't letting up for a moment.
Oh, I don't know about this. This is a possible good one too. Oh yeah. This is Nicole. Yes! Thank you, Lord. I'd say that's a pretty good little upgrade there.
Ron Sheffield shows that experience can sometimes make the difference. Of his 11 keepers, 5 were upgrades. Will they add up to a come-from-behind miracle?
17 pounds, 10 ounces, a new leader, Ron Sheffield.
The fishing has come to an end here at Table Rock, and it's time to see how the anglers did. As the competitors head to the Branson Convention Center for the weigh-in, the FLW Family Fun Zone and Outdoor Expo is winding down after a busy, fun-filled day for anglers and fans of all ages. Starting the day in 5th place and first to weigh in is Hot Springs, Arkansas native Mike Worm. A 20-year veteran pro angler, Mike struggled to find a pattern that would work in the afternoon. As a result, he's only bringing 3 fish to the scales.
8 pounds, 10 ounces, 810 brings you up to 46.6 and puts you in 2nd place.
Greg Pugh from Coleman, Alabama, led the field on day 1 and entered the top 5 in 4th place. The cold and overfed bass of Table Rock Lake got the best of him today. He ended his day without a single keeper, and only his total from the first 3 days will determine where he finishes. Brent Ehrler's impressive lead has so far gone unchallenged, but there are still 2 anglers to weigh their catches. Next to the scales is Yamaha pro Bryan Thrift from Shelby, North Carolina. Bryan had found a good spot during the tournament, but it couldn't last all 4 days. Forced to go looking for alternatives, he did manage to land a nice bass late in the afternoon.
It weighs a total of 5 pounds and 3 ounces, bringing it up to 44.1 and moves him up to 3rd place.
Brent Ehrler is now just 1 angler away from a victory here at Table Rock. Ranger Pro Ron Sheffield is the next to weigh in, and he's the only other angler to bring in a limit. Sheffield fished a jerkbait throughout the tournament with impressive results in deep structure in the morning and successfully found shallower fish in the afternoon. At the end of the day, he'd landed 11 fish, giving him 5 solid upgrades, the makings of a monster catch. He needs at least 14 pounds to overtake Ehrler's commanding lead. Does he have it?
Let's see, that's 4. Yeah, you're close, but the limit is 5.
Well, I better get this one other fish out of here.
He's got 5. Yeah, he does. 5 fast limit here. Total weight 17 pounds, 10 ounces, a new leader, Ron Sheffield.
So Ron Sheffield takes over the hot seat as National Guard pro Brent Ehrler steps up to weigh his catch. The Redlands, California native is only 33 years old, but has already had a career any angler could envy. 2006 Forest Wood Cup champion, 5 tour wins, and career earnings of almost $1.4 million. Brent was the only angler out of 150 pros to bag 3 straight limits in the first 3 days of competition, and he's bringing another 5 fish to the scales today, including a 4.5-pound kicker. Time to see if Sheffield's heroic effort has paid off.
Total weight 16 pounds, 13 ounces, 69.11, your champion, Brent Ehrler.
National Guard pro Brent Ehrler, your Table Rock FLW Tour champion.
You know, I was very fortunate this week on finding a good area that had a lot of fish on it. And the way I did it is I used a couple things. When it was really calm, I used a Yamamoto 5-inch grub, and I'd cast it out there and I'd wind it real slow just to try and catch those suspended fish. Now, if the wind came up, I'd go to either Lucky Craft jerkbait or Lucky Craft crankbait. And both these got down to that 8-10 foot range. When the wind blows like that, they get a little bit more aggressive, and that's when these, played a big role. When it was real calm, I went with that grub.
What a decisive victory for National Guard Pro Brent Ehrler, and what a way to start off the 2010 FLW Tour. He showed that to be a champion on Table Rock Lake, you've got to be able to land fish no matter how hard the conditions. For more information or on-the-water footage, go to FLWOutdoors.com. Make sure to tune in right here on Versus Country every week for more bass fishing action.